Mom, first of all, I just wanted to say thank you. My counselor. We're going to get into that right now.
You would have told me about it, all these issues you were having with Mr. Fuentes or whatever his name was. I would have just gone to school, and like any parent, we would have talked to the principal. We would have said, hey, this is not working out.
And, oh my God, it's going to start some bullshit. But basically...
He shouldn't have done that. Because you're his son.
To do random classes like that, to something that has nothing to do with what you're doing, it seems a waste of time and money, in my opinion.
No.
Yes, it is.
No.
Yes, it is.
Because, let me tell you right now here that's something I never got to tell you. And you're...
Hey, Verse, thank you for watching my... That is my intro. I forgot my own intro. I'm too pissed. We kind of had a little bit of a small discussion. Luckily, nothing too deep yet, but one of my cameras didn't turn on, and I'm incredibly pissed off. So that I'm just a little triggered right now because of my equipment. Oh my God, I need better shit. I just wanted to give a proper introduction and say that I'm doing this podcast with my mom. So, Mom, for the second time, thank you. Thank you for coming on. Oh my gosh, equipment. I'm doing a podcast with my mom here, and I'm going to be bringing in different people from the academy, friends maybe, family members especially, and talk about different things because I'm really interested in doing podcasts, like I said. This is episode 9. And one thing that I told some of you guys, if you remember, is that I wanted to talk about my experience leading up to the Academy of Arts. It really started with high school, and then kind of leading up to finally going to the academy, then me coming out with being Korra, and then dropping out because it just got too heated. Then, conversations of going back, and then finally finishing it. There's a lot of things that I really want to talk about, but I can only talk about them with you because you were there literally through everything. And Mom, first of all, I just wanted to say thank you. You dealt with a lot of bullshit.
Oh Lord, yes.
My bullshit. At the Academy of Arts, I just got my bachelor's, and I don't say that to brag. I say that because it took a lot of effort to get there. That could be said with any students. But the thing for me, Verse, is that I really wanted to use this opportunity to really thank my mom publicly because really, she did a lot for me. You really did.
It's my job.
I'm willing to even say this on camera. You did more than my dad. No, really, because you were even there when I was going through my transition.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't. He was mad, understandably, and I get that. I totally get that. But he wasn't there.
Yeah.
You were. First of all, to talk about that Verse, I'm going to start with high school. And I don't mean like from freshman year. I'm not doing that. The reason I say high school was because unfortunately, I didn't get to walk the stage with my class. I wasn't technically a 2015 student. I'm a 2016 student because of a counselor Verse that I hella got into it with because he didn't agree with how I graduated or got my credits.
That's a technicality.
Yeah, at the academy, at James Logan High School. That's the school that I went to growing up. I, like any teenager, you have your drama, you have this and that. You're going through the hormones of just bullshit. And unfortunately, during my junior year, I hella fucked up. I made a massive mistake where I didn't do a lot of what I was supposed to do. It was just really bad teenage drama during my junior year. And in senior year, I took it extremely seriously. And I found out that, every high school has a certain amount of credits you need to graduate. Mine for James Logan High School was 220 plus over 2.0 GPA, and you needed to do 20 hours of community service, which I personally thought was stupid.
You got behind because you failed most of your 11th grade mandatory courses for graduation.
I ditched. Yeah. Remember?
Yeah.
I ditched a lot. I ditched for a few months because I just didn't care for school. I went through a really bad depression at the time.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what's the point of high school? Like, it's just so meaningless. Why am I wasting my time going to something that I care nothing for? I'm trying to do acting, learning about all these random ass classes. And here's the thing: what pissed me off even more is that my counselor. We're gonna get into that right now. My counselor at the time pissed me off because for all 4 years I kept taking English learner classes. And it's stupid because for those of you that don't know Verse, English learner classes are for people who speak English as a second language, not their first. They're basically foreigners. I was born here. I'm Latino, but I was born here. I was born in Berkeley, Berkeley, California. And for some reason, even though I talked to my counselor, Mr. Fuentes, that's who I had, he just never did anything about it. Even though I told him like numerous times.
And this is a lesson for all of you high school kids. That if you guys are having issues at school, let your parents know so they can help. Because if he would have told me You would have told me about it, all these issues you were having with Mr. Fuentes or whatever his name was. I would have just gone to school, and like any parent, we would have talked to the principal. We would have said, hey, this is not working out. He needs another counselor because their vibe isn't there.
Yeah.
And they would just move you. It happened when I was in high school. It's happened in all. They could just move you to another counselor, But instead, because you never came to me, you were private. You were like most kids, shut down. You didn't come to me, and you were dealing with all the stress that you could easily avoid it if you just came and talked to me.
That's true. Oh, verse. It was really bad with this guy. I got my act together senior year. Mm-hmm. And during my senior year, I did a lot. Yeah. I did a lot. What we talked about when the camera was off was that we found this site called American Academy. You found it. And it was a way for me to make up credits. I needed 220 credits. As soon as I was in my senior year verse, I'm willing to share this. I have no problem with it because it's history. I only had 105 credits. Mm-hmm. And
what this online, this American Academy school does is, I think there's more of them, but this is one I found. What you do is that if you're running behind on credits, and since he was a senior and he was a year behind on credits and he didn't have enough time to do them in his year, this school provides these credits from these classes that he failed last year. That school communicates with the high school. They get together and they agree. So then he goes to school in the daytime, and then after school he does his work, and then he does these other classes from the 11th grade that he should have done. He does them there, finishes them, turns them back in, and then they give him the credit. They give him a certificate, and then he brings it back to his high school counselor, and the counselor adds it into the rest of the credit.
And then I get a certain amount of credits.
And then you get those credits like if you did them last year, but you...
Now sorry to interrupt. Here's where it gets juicy, right? So Mr. Fuentes immediately called me in to talk about that. Mm-hmm. And that was fine. I get it. But I told him what it was that I was doing. And when I was telling him what I was doing, which was the American Academy, he didn't like the method immediately. He told me, he says, I feel like that's completely unnecessary because there's no way you're going to be able to make up 100 credits in 1 year. Mm-hmm. That's at least 2 years for us. And I was like, I understand what you're saying. But I told him, I was like, this American Academy, though, and this isn't sponsored, by the way, but really, they're really able to help you in such a matter of time.
That's the first thing I thought when I called them. I asked them all these questions. I was like, even though they had the Q&As in their website, I still called and I was like, is this like legal? Is this right? Can they? And they were like, yeah, this is for students that, for whatever the reason, whatever they're going through, they get behind, but they're still trying to pass with their class. Yeah. And this is 100% legit. A lot of people don't know about it though, because if you know about it, then you got that extra help. But a lot of counselors like yours thought that was like cheating in a way comparing to the other kids that did it. But the academy over here was saying no. This is kids have it rough every once in a while, and we're here to help.
No, and I get that. The thing with the school is that after telling Mr. Fuente about it,
it was a lot of work you did too.
It was a lot of work. Remember, I missed out on my holidays. Mm-hmm. I went over to my dad's and to Josie and Tony's place at the time, and remember that small Chromebook I had? I brought it everywhere.
They give you a lot of work, don't think, because you got to pay for this, but because you're paying, don't think you're not going to do any work, because you're going to do 2 years in 1 year, so they're not going to make it easier either. You're going to have to make up that work. So if you think, oh, we're just going to go over here, and trust me, you're not going to like it, because I
was on it
to like midnight working on all this work.
Yeah.
But he did it.
And I did it. I made up 100 credits in a year. Mm-hmm. And because Mr. Huerta has such an issue with it, all he wanted to do was just send me to a continuation school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He did that throughout the whole entire year. I told him numerously, I said, look, I don't want to be involved in a continuation school. He was like, why not? And I told him, because I have no interest in that. He was like, well, it's not about what you want, it's about what you need. And I said, well, what I need you to do is to be a counselor and help me. Mm-hmm. And then he looked at me one time and he was like, okay, because I gave him spunk. Mm-hmm. But it's true though. I'm like, hey, I'm the student here. I'm telling you what I need. I understand what you're doing, but I'm telling you what I'm doing. I got my own plan. And because he didn't like it, he was like, well, what you need to do is do like a 0 and an ace period, and I did. Mm-hmm. I did a 0 and an ace period. I went to high school an hour early and I stayed an hour later. I was there for like 10 hours.
At the academy.
And I still did the fucking academy. And doing all that work, I made up 100 credits. Did I get to 220? No. But was I just about there? Yes. I was just about there. And I made it up to 205. Mm-hmm. And after a bunch of BS throughout the whole year, right, just for time consuming sakes, my counselor kept pulling me out of class is taking me to all these meetings from Colony, right?
Continuation school.
Yeah, from the continuation school with all these students coming here and they're saying, "Oh, it's great to be here. You should come here." And I was like, "Shut the fuck up!" And I kept leaving, and because I kept leaving, Mr. Huete would see me and he was just like, "Why do you keep leaving?" And I was like, "What did I just say, man?" I used to have conversations with him in the hallway. I'd be like, "What did I just say?" I was like, I'm not doing this." He was like, "But you're not going to hear him out." No, because I'm not going to that high school.
But see, that's bad. That's bad for a counselor. He didn't do his job. Because if he sees that you're literally trying, basically you got back up and you know, everybody falls, but if he sees that you got back up on senior year and you're moving and you're hustling and he's seeing that you're literally trying to make up for lost time, he should have finished it as a counselor. He should have been there and made sure that you know, like, okay, seems like you're doing, but from jump, he was like, no, go over here, we're gonna take you out. He wasn't supportive as a counselor at all.
He made it very clear.
He made it harder.
He kept telling me, "Well, this isn't fair to the other students," and I was like, "Do they give a fuck?"
Yeah, everybody's doing their own race.
Like they're not gonna worry about me. They got their own thing going on.
And that's the problem with a lot of schools in my generation, your generation, and future generations, that a lot of counselors don't care for kids that are. There are people that they'll give up, they'll throw in the towel.
Yeah.
When they do that, that's fine. I understand that you have to go ahead and just let them go. Like, okay, if they threw in the towel, you can't force them. But if they decided that they had to change their heart and they're up and they're trying to run that race and finish it, there's a lot of teachers that won't care. You know, they just focus on the ones that are okay.
Yeah.
That's where I think that's where the school system fails. These kids, like you and other kids are like that.
I went into another depression after Logan because of what happened. What happened versus that I didn't have enough credits to walk the stage of my class. But what I found out is that I could have made it up in summer school. So the point is, whether I graduated from on a stage with my class or even on a smaller stage, but in summer school, I would have been fine with it, because the point is I graduated in my year, and the point is that I graduated in 2015 like how I should have. I worked my ass off. Who else made up 100 credits or over 100 credits in a year?
Yeah.
This bitch right here, okay? And then next thing you know it, freaking, we had that meeting with Mr. Huete. We went to other people, and they all kept saying the same thing. No matter what we did, it had to go through him.
Yeah. First we talked to him, and then he said no. And one of the main reasons was because it wasn't going to be fair to the other kids, which that doesn't matter. Other people said, well, what does that other kids got to do with Angel? And then we went to the principal.
The vice principal.
We went to vice principal, principal. We went to the school district. We went to, I contacted the State Board of Education in Sacramento.
Yeah.
We talked to them, and everything routed back to the counselor because that was his counselor. But everybody also agreed, from the vice president to the president to the school board to the state board and staff. They were all saying, I don't understand what's going on, why he just can't walk the stage. If he's made up the whole way through, it seems like he really, did his share and made it up for it at the end. It just seems, they all said the same thing, remember? They all said, it just seems like your counselor has got it in for you. And unfortunately, he has the last say. So
I didn't get to graduate.
So he made it to the point that he didn't let you graduate on stage.
Yeah.
You didn't walk the stage, yeah.
And ever since then, I got hella mad at myself. And I'm going to be real with you. That's part of the reason. And I'm willing to share this, right? Just because I'm back as Angel. So, it's what it is. But, okay, Mom. Okay. Part of the reason why I even became Korra fully to even want to transition was because after that traumatizing experience for me, when you did all the work, you put in all that time, a year, right? And to have someone strip it away from you just because that person didn't like you, in a way, it's like he took my manhood. That's how I felt it.
I think it had to do a lot, Angel, with him and your dad, because that day of your commencement, the night before, your dad called you, remember?
Yeah.
And he called you, and he was like, he was all happy, obviously, because he didn't know what was going on, and we didn't know how to tell him. And he was like, so you ready for your commencement, whatever? And then you told him what happened. Instead of acting like your dad, it's like you would have thought him and Mr. Fuentes were best friends. He sided with the counselor.
Okay,
and he
so
just grilled you.
let me correct you on that part. Yes and no. It wasn't the night he called. Remember, I couldn't talk to him, so you talked to him on the phone. Yeah. And he was clearly upset, right? Because he didn't know.
Yeah, he didn't know.
But it wasn't until I told you I was working with him. We were in the rig, and I told him. And oh my God, it's gonna start some bullshit. But basically, I talked to my dad about what happened. I filled him in on everything. I told him about the American Academy. I told him about high school. I told him where I fucked up, but I told him where I corrected myself. I told him the amount of work, and I told him about why I had that laptop all the time.
Yeah.
And then after I told him, he just looked at me straight in the face, and he was like, good. He was like, yeah. He was like, I probably would have held you back too.
Yeah.
Straight to my face. And I looked at him and I was like, are you fucking serious? And then he was like, well, you didn't do what you were supposed to do. And I was like, I made up 100 fucking credits in a year. Have you ever made up 100 fucking credits in a year? I don't think so. You know? And he just looked at me like, well, hey, he was like, you know, if he says it was unfair to the other students, it's unfair to the other students.
But see, that's where I and a lot of other people that at that time when we knew that, we were like, he shouldn't have done that.
But,
because you're his son. I get it because even I was mad. Like, I'm half, but at the end of the day, you're my son and that you're his son. So as a parent, he should have been like, you know, like, yeah, I'm angry, but at the same time, I can only imagine how you feel because you're the one that was in that situation. You made up for it. And then at the end, because it's not about the work, it's about the toxic relationship you have with this counselor.
Yeah.
And your dad didn't catch it. It was just, well, good. You shouldn't have done it. I would have done the same thing. It's like it didn't radar
that
him.
You saw how mad I was when I came back.
Yeah.
I was pissed that day.
Slamming doors and busted a hole on the wall. I mean,
I used to get hella mad back then. I'm calmer now, but I used to get hella mad. You know, it's just this isn't shade to throw my dad or nothing. It's just the fact that is what happened. It's part of what happened on my journey.
I think that with the fact that Mr. Fuentes got away with it, with the counselor, that he got the last say and he was able to like rub it into your face because everybody said that like he had it in for you, and then you go to the other man that you thought would have been somewhat understanding, and then it's like your dad sides with this counselor, and I think that's what kind of did something.
That's where it cracked. It's like if there was a rope, it was thinning, and then my dad just. You know, like that's how I felt like what happened, because I kept looking at myself in the mirror sometimes and I was like, what, like, why am I you? I used to think that sometimes. You felt your accomplishment, you worked your ass off and you couldn't even fucking get that.
Right.
You have a father in your life and your father couldn't even support you on this shit. And it was like, I just looked at myself and I felt hella embarrassed.
No, I know.
I didn't want to be myself anymore. So, and then I already had, and I'm not going to lie, I actually was gender fluid since I was young. Yeah. But I never took it to an extreme because I was like, that's just something I keep to myself. But then after that, I was like, fuck it. I didn't want to be me anymore. And then that's when I started doing it a little more and more. So I finally came out to you. And then I came out to my dad. Woo! And then... I remember that one. And then I remember his reaction. And then and then after my dad, then I just slowly started telling everybody one by one because it was slowly coming out. Yeah. And it was causing drama. But then basically, before even talking about my transition, when it came down to Logan, I ended up having to go to the continuation school. He got what he wanted. I went. I was there. And immediately they were talking to me about how long I was going to need. And I told them I only need 15 credits. Like, that shouldn't take too long. And then the guy, the counselor, I remember every time I went to that school, I was mad. Yeah. I made it more than clear I did not want to fucking be here. They were looking at me like, why are you so mad? I was like, I have my fucking reason. And then like they were very skeptical of me, by the way. And I remember when I went there, the guy looked at me and I got even more mad. I threw a trash can because the guy in the office was like, well, from your record, here in the school, you need at least 190 credits. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, no, it was 180. 180. And then I was like, so I don't have to do anything. I was like, I've been surpassed some amount. I have 205. I was like, I got more than enough credit. I should just get it then if I'm technically done. And then he says, oh, no, there's certain requirement classes you need to do here. And I was like, oh, my God. I was like, that is so fucking stupid. I'm like literally 30 points past what you're asking me, and I have to do more. I was like, that's ridiculous. And then I did it, and then the guy says, okay, well, with this length, you should be here like no more than 6 months. And I went, oh, hell no. I am not. I called you. I was like, Mom, I'm going to just drop out. I would rather have a high school be a high school dropout and keep my pride than take this shit. Yeah. Because that was just insulting. Before I can even call you, right, the guy saw how mad I got. He was like, what's the problem? I said, dude, I am not going to be at this, the R word, at this school for 6 whole months. Yeah. I was like, you got me fucked up. I am not wasting that much time here. When at summer school, I could have made it this amount of credits in just a month and a half. Because summer school's shorter. And then the guy says, okay, well, if you want, you could do this if you want, we have this program program where you could take the work at home and do it at your pace. How long did I finish?
Like in 2 weeks, I think, right?
A month.
A month?
It took me a month.
Yeah.
I finished all that in a month. I would have been there for 6 months for no reason. No reason for 6 months. And I did that in a month. And then I remember when I came back, I looked at the guy and I told him, I was just like, remember what I told you about how mad I got here for being here for 6 months? And it was this white guy. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, only a month. And then I told him, I was like, listen, because it was still September, I told him, I was like, do I get a 2015 diploma? Because that's what the school told me, that if I finished in 2015, I could still get a 2015 diploma. And the guy goes, no, yeah, you'll get your diploma, but you won't get it until the end of the year. And I was like, oh, okay, that's fine, but it'll be 2015, right? And he was like, no, it's a 2016. And that pissed me off even more. Each piece of like advancement in the level got me more and more frustrated.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, what do you mean 2016? He was like, well, yeah, you finished in 2016. I was like, no. This ain't December. It's like barely the end of September.
Yeah, he was saying that because the semester for the new school year had started, so you were starting for the next.
And I was like, no,
yeah.
that shit hella pissed me off.
Yeah.
And then I literally had the last certificate, and I went to go talk to the lady, and I told her everything, and she was just like, oh, I didn't know about any of this. What the fuck? I was like this close to like tearing it up, and then she was like, do you want to give me the certificate? And I told her, I said, I don't think I want to. And she was like, what are you gonna do with it? I'm about to just tear this up. But you worked so hard to be where you're at. And I was like, I didn't work hard for here though. I didn't work hard to get my diploma here at the academy. I mean, at this stupid ass school for idiots. Sorry, but it's true. That's how I felt about it. You know, I said I worked my ass off at James Logan. I just got cheated out of it. And now you're telling me it's bad enough that I'm not going to get a diploma from James Logan, but I'm going to get a 2016, diploma from me finishing in 2015. That was insulting. And then I called you. You talked me out of it, or you were convincing me. Like don't take it too personally. And
because I told you, I said just go ahead and turn it in, because if you don't, you're going to wind up having to go to night school and wind up getting a GED. I said just get it out the way. And then I told you, I said when you go to college and you get a degree, it'll shine the diploma. You don't have to worry about the diploma anymore, because you'll have a degree to outweigh it. So
yeah. And then I got it. And then after I gave it to you,
I hit it.
You hit it.
I hit it.
Yeah, she hit it. She hit it. Yeah,
so
she hit it for me.
I told him, I said, you want this diploma? I said, you give me a degree, and I'll give you the diploma.
That's true. She hit it this whole entire time.
I've seen it in 8 years.
I got mad too. As soon as the guy was giving me the diploma, I was looking at it. I was like, I'm gonna tear this shit up so fucking bad. I'm gonna tear it up so bad. I was just looking at it, and then I got even more mad because then the guy in front of me, even after I told him I wanted nothing to do with the school, and then he was like, so just so you know, we have like a Latino celebration festival coming up here at the academy, so we'll let you know. And I went, don't send me shit. I don't want anything to do with the school. And he was like, okay, well, here, let me get you your gown, keep it.
Yeah.
And it was like, you don't want your gown? You're gonna walk the shit. I'm not walking on this stupid ass stage for what? And then I remember I said exactly like that, and the guy looked at me like, oh, so you don't want the ceremony? I don't want to be here. Period. Ridiculous. You really expect me to have been cheated out of my situation, and this guy knew my situation, and then they would go up there and smiling?
No, I think somehow he kind of was thinking that you can make up for it there.
No.
But it wasn't.
No, it's not the same.
Yeah,
it's not the same. Especially because I came across old classmates that went from Logan that were there, and they were failing. And they get out at 12. And I'm right here like, how the fuck do you fail in the school?
It's a continuation school. That's what it is.
They're lazy asses. That's the point.
They're people that don't like school. They don't do homework. They don't want to be in school. They take forever to do one assignment.
It took me a month. I was like, what the fuck? Like, not to insult anybody who isn't in continuation school, but for me, I did not need to be there. I was hella pissed off.
Yeah.
And to show you how pissed off. Yep, here we go.
You might want to show that last, Angel.
Oh no, I'm doing that now. Before we continue further, I said, Mom, I want my diploma. I literally regretted the fact that I even took it. I said, give it to me. And then you made me a deal. You told me that I wanted to go to the Academy of Arts. You said, you want to go there. When you get your degree, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, because you won't need it anymore.
So you hit it this whole time. I just got it back. I just got it back like literally the day of my graduation, which was May 24th.
Yeah.
After getting my bachelor's. And I was so upset at my mom for hiding it, because the fact that it even existed, that it had my name, pissed me off. Yeah. And it was in good condition, by the way. Paper was good.
Well, yeah,
the whole cover was good. Everything's good. And then you gave it to me. And just like that verse, I had my revenge. Look at that shit. Look at that. Look at this shit. Look at that. Even the paper. I tore the shit out of the paper. turned the shit out of it.
Do whatever you want.
Oh my god.
You don't need it.
You know, that's how I feel about that shit.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter anymore because, like I said, once you have a bachelor's and you tell people and you show them your bachelor's, nobody's gonna be like, oh, and your diploma, it outdoes it. So
now because of I spit on it. Like now because of the fact I got my degree, I'm willing to keep this now. You know, I was about to burn it.
Yeah.
Right? But then then I told myself, no, you know what? I wanted to keep this now because I finally let out my heat on it.
Yeah.
I bended the shit out of it. I treated it like a football. You should have seen it. I told my mom, open the fucking door and I went, and then I kicked it. There's like a fat ass mark right here because I went, I kicked it out there to the front and then you went and got it. Really? That's how much I thought this was bullshit because I hated that.
It was.
You
That's
know?
what I told you to go to school and get the degree.
Whew, I was so happy for her. I was happy. I was as happy as a schoolgirl. But then after Logan, just to get back on point, right? I'll talk more about that later. I went to the academy. Mm-hmm. I wanted to do acting since I was very young. Mm-hmm. And I'm doing acting now, clearly. I had an associate's in acting, and now I got a bachelor's in acting. Yeah. Everything was going pretty good. I was doing
started strong.
I started out very strong, and I could tell, like, midway through, I started getting into some problems. And the problems were the liberal art classes, which I find ridiculous.
Well, that's normal. Everybody who's in school, high school or college, they run into hard classes.
But these are so unnecessary, though. I'm majoring in acting and I'm taking history of the 15th century. And I'm like, the fuck does that have to do with acting?
But that's anybody, whether you're in community college or not, that's a requirement.
Like, this is what I talk to students about this too, where I'm like, you know what, we should be able to if we're going to take liberal art classes, let's take liberal art classes that are actually, like, related to our major. And whatever it is that we do to a point where it at least makes sense. Because to do random classes like that to something that has nothing to do with what you're doing, it seems a waste of time and money, in my opinion.
No.
Yes, it is.
No.
Yes, it is.
Because your liberal arts classes, like the history of the 15th century, history of the 16th century, that's all, like, about the world.
I'll learn about that when I'm in the world.
No. Like, that taught you about the world. It taught you about Picasso. It taught you about the Roman times. And it just teaches you about the world.
I failed 3 times.
No, you don't get it, Angel. The point is that these liberal art classes, whether you take them in community college or you take them in a university or a state university or whatever, it's to teach you. That's what educates you. So when you go places, you're educated. That's aside from getting a degree on whatever you want to do, nursing or whether it's entertainment or legal or medical, that's your major. But they also educate you. When you come out of a college, whether it's community college or state or university, you are supposed to be at another level of education. You're supposed to be educated. You're supposed to know about a lot of things. And those liberal art classes are for that. So, it's just like when you watch the news and people know what's going on in the world because they watch the TV all the time.
I keep up with
And then there's people that don't watch the news, and when you tell them about something, they're like,
I know, I deal with that all the time.
You can tell that it's because they don't watch, they're not into it.
Yeah, they're not very aware of what's going on.
They only watch what's around their own little backyard.
But I also see that to an extent just because, like, at times it does cause a lot of problems.
It does cause a lot of problems because if you're not into it,
yeah, and the majority of people just aren't into it.
And that's what causes a lot of problems. So that's why people struggle in college. It's never because of their major. It's because of the classes, the mandatory GE courses that you have to take.
Not all liberal art classes are bad. Like there are some that I did like. Like there was a class that I had to take. It's good for regular workers, but it's terrible for actors. Which is it was a resume class. Taught you how to do a resume interview. That was helpful.
Yeah.
I took a math class, which was a health class. Talking to us about certain things about our health and what you shouldn't do. That was cool.
Yeah.
But then there were other courses where it was just like a waste of time.
You do learn. Something.
I forgot about most of that shit. It don't mean nothing to me. I'm sorry.
I'm like, oh really?
It's just, anyways, I get what you're saying. I know. It basically is important to be educated. Mm-hmm. And I get that. But to me, I take that to an extent if it has nothing to do with what I'm into.
Oh, well, yeah.
Because it's like, what's the point of me learning about this shit where I know that's not really something I'm into. I'm getting educated on something that's not going to benefit me.
Right, but it's good to say that you know about it.
I guess. I'll agree with you to an extent, but,
But those classes did cause you a lot of stress, though.
It did.
Aside from what you were already going through.
But that was after. But besides liberal arts, then I got into my third year. Mm-hmm. I've dealt with many counselors. I had dealt with many liberal art classes and just classes in general. Mm-hmm. I was doing pretty good. Wasn't really behind. Right. And then I came out. Mm-hmm. I came out as Korra. That was I know that was hard, and just to make this very clear first, don't get butthurt because I'm talking about my experience. The reason why it was hard, but even though I did get a lot of support from a lot of the family, and then some family I can tell were just being nosy. I understand that in my family, whether it's your side or my dad's side, there's really no one else that was in my position. I was the only one. I had no one to go to for this at all. Mm-hmm. You know, it was just me, mm-hmm. And you know, and the only reason I was so dead set on becoming a woman was because I didn't want to be Angel anymore because of the amount of failures that I received being Angel.
I think it had to do with the way I saw it on this side. It was like you went through a lot of failures, but then it also seemed like a lot of people weren't happy with you. Or at least that's the vibe that you got from a lot of people, that people just didn't want you around. My dad. Or they made you feel that.
My dad. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, again, this isn't put him on the spot, but back then we argued a lot. Mm-hmm. And this is before I came out. Yeah, like every time we were at work, he used to get hella mad at me for shit where I was like, the fuck does that got to do with me? I was like, you're mad at that person, go get mad at that person. Why are you taking it out on me? Son, I'm not mad at you. I'm just telling you. And I'm like, don't tell me. I was like, that has nothing to do with me. I was like, it seems like you're legitimately mad at me. Go tell someone else. I was like, what the fuck? I had arguments with him all the time. Like, if you're mad, then go take care of it. I just got here. And, I don't know. I know anybody can easily say this, which is, you know, when you fail, you're supposed to learn from that experience so you can do better. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, the failures that I've encountered, and this isn't an excuse, this is just that's how I saw it at the time. I felt like they were scars because, you know, these weren't just normal failures that you could get up and try again. I missed out on walking the stage. Mm-hmm. I missed it. That hella pissed me off. I got upset because I felt my manhood got taken away because, for one, the counselor, that piece of shit, got away with it. Mm-hmm. My father, he didn't support me. He basically kicked me when I was down.
Yeah, and it totally didn't seem like he was siding with your counselor.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck? It's like if someone shot me and then, Dad, like, this dude shot me. What, did you move? Well, no, I didn't know it was gonna happen. Well, you should have moved. Like, that's what you get. It's like, what the fuck? You know, it's like you might as well just said that. Like, that's what I'm saying. I had many reasons for why I hated being Angel. Yeah. Because it was just one thing after another that were scars. You know what I'm saying? That's how I saw it. That really was, because these failures were big.
Yeah, they affected you too much.
They were big. They were affecting me, and you know, I took this before I became this, but I took this. Mm-hmm. You know, I took this shit, and this was insulting. It's like I had just sold my soul to the devil by taking this shit, and I was like, the fuck did I do? Because honestly, I hated the fact that I even took it. Yeah. I hated it. I made it more than clear that's what you hit it. Mm-hmm. After taking it, I just, like I said, that's what made me really, like, so into the mindset of wanting to transition, because, and that's why my gender dysphoria was started, because it was just so much trauma happening around me. Mm-hmm. It was just too much bullshit. 6 years happened. I went as far as to the point of taking hormones. You were there. First of all, Mom, thank you for being there. Even though I know you didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
That was hard.
Yep.
I know. I know it's, for some people, it's like, why is that bad? Well, for one, for both you and my dad, I'm your only son.
Yep.
That's why it was hard. And I try to keep that in mind, but dysphoria is a bitch. You know, my detransition video. Yep. That was hard. Oh no. My coming out video. I made the coming out video. The detransition was like a year ago. My coming out video. Right? I told everybody one at a time, and then I needed to come out because there was no way I was going to hide something like this. When I told my dad, you know, unfortunately, shit got worse because, for one, you were always mad. Understandably. Because you didn't want it to happen. Yeah. Some of my cousins got mad.
Everybody. Well, on our side of the family, everybody got mad because nobody saw it coming.
I kept it well hidden.
Nobody saw it coming at all. Nobody saw it coming, so everybody was like, what? Nobody saw it coming. It was just to the point that even the therapist, later on when I started seeing the therapist, and she was watching your videos, and she was like, he hit that really well because I'm a professional and I didn't see it coming. It's like, this must have been something that is very psychological. Because, you know, some kids are flamboyant. He goes, and he never was. He was, but he goes on, based on his videos that I've seen since he was young until now, he was like, he hit that very well.
I'm a damn good actor.
Probably, yeah. Obviously.
I'm sorry, Mom.
But yeah, it was hard for us. It was hard for us because you're the oldest on our side of the family, on my dad's side of the family. And then I think on your dad's side of the family. So for this to come out, it was hard. It was hard for everybody. I know that today's society is different, and I don't know if people are gonna what do you call it, the trolls are going to come out and everything, but I know that the majority of probably people out there that are going to be watching this would expecting me to take out the LGBT flag and start, being like pro and everything, and no, I can't do that. I just, from day one, it was like, this isn't going to happen.
Yeah, and I tried. I tried.
Happen. Even though every time we went like to the clinics and to your therapist and everything, I was just like, this is not gonna happen. Like, I can't let this happen. And I made an admission, like, and then when your dad walked out on your situation, well, honestly, I wasn't surprised.
I knew that was gonna happen.
He has a hard temper, but when it comes to dealing with real, toxic situations, he runs. And he does this, but he does less of action. So when he ran, he bailed, I knew, I knew that was going to happen. I'm not surprised. But everybody was supportive.
Yeah, they were.
And I was glad that nobody was giving me grief for it, other than your dad for it. But deep down in my head, I was like, I don't care what year this is. This isn't going to happen. This could happen to anybody else's kid, but this is my kid. I was like, I'll be damned if I lose my kid over some bullshit.
It's not really even about religion, because people can easily...
Yeah, people can hide behind religion. It's that, it could be in a lot of things. It could be like, you're my only kid, I'm, Christian, I'm Catholic, you're the firstborn. It could have been a lot of stuff. It was only one reason. That boy right there is my son, and I'm not going to lose him. I can't, there's things I can't stop from happening, but a health issue, I can't stop that from happening. I can help him. But when there's something in here, I'll be damned if that's going to stop me from losing my kid. So
I love you, Mom.
Mm-hmm.
I remember all the times that you saw me kind of just here slowly changing because of the hormones.
Yeah.
I changed.
Yeah.
I got slimmer, my hair grew.
Mm-hmm.
I got my voice changed a little bit because I was taking voice therapy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What else did I do? I was already in talks about doing major surgeries.
Yeah, pretty close.
I was super close to doing either my breast surgery or to doing laser.
Yeah.
And then each time when I was getting super close, it wasn't because I was of course nervous. I think anybody that goes through that would have obviously be nervous about it. They'd be excited, but it's also very nerve wracking. It definitely, what people need to understand is that in this situation is not to be taken lightly, because you gotta understand, once you do a change like that, you can never go back. You can never go back. It's really something that you gotta be 110% sure of. And I kind of was getting there. I was happy that I saw my body getting smoother, and that my body was shifting, and I was really excited about that. I was just hella happy about it. I was like, yes, I'm not being Angel anymore, because I was hella mad.
Uh-huh.
No, and I'm not saying that now. It's not the same now. Mm-hmm. But back then, because I was just a lot of anger.
Right.
Right. That's honestly how I saw it.
Yeah, because back then your anger was just through the roof.
Oh.
And anything triggered you.
Anything.
Any word or any situation, just anything would just trigger you, and it was just like the Hulk. But the more your anger flared, the more you were trying to transition.
Yeah. I just got hella mad. It got so bad to the point where I even gave up on my faith at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you did.
I gave up on my faith. Remember, I had my necklace I was wearing, and I just... Mm-hmm. Finally, because I got that mad. I got tired of people always judging me, hating on me. I got tired of, everybody always had an issue with Angel. The shit was always happening to me. What pissed me off, too, is that I specifically told my dad I did not want to go to and I feel like it's going to start some shit, but fuck it, we're already here. My sister's graduation, Emily.
Oh, yeah.
She had her high school graduation, and good for her. No, I'm not trying to take that away or anything. Good for her, she earned it.
Yeah.
But I told my dad I didn't want to go because I knew I was going to get triggered because I didn't get my shit. Mm-hmm. She graduated, I believe it was a year after me. My dad was like, I'm going to start your shit. Get over here. You're going to come. And that's it. And I was like, okay. And I told him, I was like, but if I get mad, I'm telling you right now. And then there was this one thing, I remember this, where we were on these benches and everybody went up to go cheer. My dad was like, come on. He was like, come on, let's go cheer for your sister. I was like, I can't. I can't. My dad, you're really going to do that right now? I was like, I specifically told you. I did not want to come here because I missed out on this shit. He was like, but it's not about you. I was like, ooh, my eyes. Yeah, but everyone else doing right, good. Yeah, but for me, I'll fucking deal with it. Mm-hmm. I felt bad about talking about my dad like that, but it did happen.
Well, he did act like that.
It did happen. It did happen. Not to start shit, but it did happen. It is part of what led up to now. I hated the fact that I went because I was like, look at all these people. Look at this celebration. Look at what Emily's wearing. She got to get her moment.
Mm-hmm.
I got cheated on in mine.
Mm-hmm.
And I know people say, well, you didn't do the work. Yeah, I know I didn't fucking do the work, but I made up for it. Literally, 100 fucking
made
credits.
Up for it, and technically by everybody other than the counselor, you have the right to walk the stage after summer.
It could have been done in summer school.
Summer school.
He just didn't let me. He didn't let me.
It was the counselor who had it.
He didn't let me. Yeah, he could have proved it. He didn't let me because it wasn't fair. And I was like, get the fuck out of here. But then that's what led up a lot to me being Korra. And then unfortunately, I got even angrier as Korra because besides the fact that I was taking hormones, they made me more emotional. Some things with the family here and there. That that incident at the church.
Oh yeah.
That.
This is what year was it? I totally forgot.
This was like maybe 2-3 years ago.
During COVID.
It was like when COVID was slowly going away. Remember? Like masks at certain places were barely like being able to not be taken or barely like.
2021 probably I think.
I did in the beginning. Like it was her
first communion.
First communion. There you go.
My daughter's first communion, and that was the first time Angel was gonna go
in front of the family.
In front of the family. Live
as Korra, like they seen pictures of me. They saw me in my videos if they follow me or they even bothered watching. But in person,
yeah, this was gonna be the first time that we're gonna see you in full effect.
And I was nervous.
So I was nervous because I thought like this is gonna be the first time they're gonna see you. I didn't know how they were gonna. I hope there was no reaction.
There was,
but there was.
There was
a bad reaction.
It was bad. That shit. I know we kind of squashed it.
Yeah.
So it's not to come off like but
yeah, everything's settled and
but when I do remember that day, I can't help but to say it did piss me off.
Yeah.
So to clarify, I went to my sister's first communion, and a lot of my mom's brother's family was gonna be there.
My in-laws.
Yeah, and then some of
my cousin.
Yeah, your cousin was gonna be there.
Oh, well, that's because she was the godmother again.
Yeah, and then obviously Bethy, your sister.
Yeah.
We went there to the church, and I was obviously nervous because for one, at the time, I was in a place that I did not want to be in. My situation in an environment where it didn't mix with what I was doing, made me already uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But two, I was gonna be around not like a few people in the family, but a lot of people. It was like maybe over 10, 15 people, right?
Yeah.
And
25 people, probably.
When going there that day, even though it's squashed, it was really hard to deal with that day because immediately the whole ceremony was just about over and everybody was taking pictures. I could immediately feel stares.
Yeah, those stares did not wait. And
some people.
I think it was I think it was more of a human reaction. Like when you just see something that's out of the ordinary, seeing something that's not what we call normal.
It was.
But the stares were like too noticeable.
It was too noticeable.
And I think that's what.
And I could feel the vibe. Mm-hmm. I was just like standing next to you, and at times I was just like. I just felt something. I was like, and then sure enough, I turned around and I saw like at least 3 or 4 people at the same time. Staring at me,
staring at you,
and I saw at least 3 people literally as I was looking right at them, staring right at me, and literally right in front of my face.
Yeah.
But there were masks.
Yeah. But
so
and
I could see the masks move, especially because they, and I was like, Mom, I'm about to start cussing, and I don't want to do that here, but I don't care if I don't even talk to anybody again.
Yeah.
I'm about to start cussing people out because that hell pissed me off. I got mad, and then I remember we were trying. I came across some people, and I could tell some people kind of avoided me because they didn't know what to say.
Yeah, a lot of people were uncomfortable because they didn't know how to react to it.
Yeah, and I get that, but then. We were there for like almost an hour. Yeah. After the ceremony was over.
Pictures and stuff, yeah.
And people were even in pictures. People were still staring at me. I have pictures. If I wanted to be a dick, I could be like, look at this. Look, I'm on the right side of my mom. Look what they're all staring at. But I'm not gonna do that. I'm just saying like even in videos and pictures, it's you could see it. Like if I was to tell you where I was standing, you could see 2 people literally look at the same fucking thing. Me. And after I left, I remember I cried because I were in the car and I was like, they're all looking at me. I felt like such a freak. Like
it was hard, but I think this was also a learning experience for him because we told him from day one. We told him, we said, you're gonna have to develop thick skin because what you're gonna start doing is those stares are gonna be part of what you're gonna be dealing with in a normal. It's gonna be part of your daily. Let
me put it this way. Yes and no on that. For strangers, I couldn't give a rat's ass. That didn't bother me.
It's the fact that it's people that knew you.
It was family.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it hurt, because it was family, and family you see all the time.
Yeah.
So that's why I had such a reaction. They're all talking about me in front of my face. They're gonna talk about me afterwards. I don't know if they're making jokes or they're just like judging me.
Yeah.
And that hell pissed me off.
Yeah.
Like that. That's why for a whole like year I was hella talking shit about them. I didn't give a rat's out about them, because I was like, for them to all act like that with me, I was like, fuck them, because that hella pissed me off.
No, yeah, of course,
Some made it obvious.
The good thing was that, we finally was able to at one point get together, and you were able to bring it up, and they apologized for it, and then you told them a background of the whole situation, and they understood the whole journey of it. So then they were more like, oh, okay, now this makes sense.
Well, I talked it out with family.
If anything, I think that made the family stronger.
It did. I'm really happy about that too, because I knew that was something I couldn't keep together.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy I got to confront it. Honestly, when stuff like that happens, don't avoid each other. Just talk it through.
Yeah, let it out.
You drag it out, it just causes more problems.
Mm-hmm.
Why drag out something when you can like that if you can take care of it?
Yeah.
I know it's easy for me to say depending on the situation, but at least try.
No, yeah.
That despite how hard that day was,
we got through it.
Finally, water on the bridge.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like that anymore, by the way. I ain't talking smack like that anymore. If anything, I feel very
liberated.
I felt very incompetent to even say all that now, just because of how I feel now.
Yeah, because it's water under the bridge.
Yeah, so now I'm just like, I'm so glad that mindset's out of my head.
Mm-hmm.
And then slowly, despite me transitioning, right? I think this was like a year ago. Then I started talking about the academy again.
I know. What happened was that you were set to transition.
Yes.
And then things happened where Angel was. You were seeing therapists. You were seeing a psychiatrist and everything, and you got a good one. This one person who really, really helped you. But prior to that, you were being seen at Kaiser, right?
I saw hella other therapists, and at the time, I hated therapy. Yeah. I thought it was stupid. I thought it was pretty dumb for you to talk to somebody, and the reason I say this because I kept going to different people, and I kept telling them the same thing over and over that I had to start with, and I got completely bored doing that. And some of them was just like, it felt so one-sided.
That's the thing about therapy, that when you go to talk to a counselor or therapist or psychiatrist, you have to make sure that there's a connection. Yeah. Because if there's no connection with them, it's not gonna work. I mean, I know they're there to do the job, but there's only so much that they could do. But when you find that one connection with that other person, then it goes smooth. And you were like bouncing around at the beginning until the last
so because of my situation, I found this program where basically they were like, look, for LGBTQ people, here are LGBTQ therapists. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay. And then when I came across two different types of people. I came across one person, no offense, I couldn't tell if it was a guy or a girl because of the voice. It's talking like this, I'm like, oh, God bless you. Like, really, talk like that on the phone. Mm-hmm. I couldn't tell who the fuck I was talking to. And then I tried to tell them, look, like, if I was to do a phone conversation with therapy, I want you to be completely honest with me. I don't want any one-sidedness. And then I told this person about the fact that I still had some connection to my faith, and I was trying to get it back. And then this person was like, oh, God bless you. And I was like, oh, thank you. And then right away, I was just joking. So you didn't hear what I was telling you about. Okay,
You're
so
already one-sided,
this wasn't going to help me. And then I went to this other guy that I went to in person, and then I was talking to him, and this dude, he was gay. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And then I told him the same thing, be real with me. And then after I was talking to him, then I literally said, hey, do me a favor, I want you to be absolutely honest with me as possible, and, hopefully this will work out. Mm-hmm. And then the guy, even though he was like, where you're at, oh yeah, sure, no problem. So, I want you to understand, I went to the same experience as you have. And I was like, what? I was trying to tell you, I understand it's hard to deal with the situation. I couldn't understand what the fuck he was saying, because even though he was in front of my face, and I was like, speak up, dude. I'm like, I'm paying you. What are you talking about? And then afterwards, I called you right after, and I was like, man, it ain't gonna work. I can't. I can't find anybody that I can actually have like a legit talk with, because it's either they're coming at me in such a weak approach, or they're one-sided. I can't work like that. I can't make a fair decision with one-sidedness. I can't do that. Right. So then found this one guy online, very forward. He was like that. He would shut me up if he had to.
He was sharp.
And really great guy, by the way. I spoke to him. I was with him for like what, a year?
A year, almost a year and a half, I think.
Yeah. And I started doing better. I started getting along better with my dad. Even though he didn't want to talk to me at the time, I would call him still just to let him know I'm still okay. I'm still here, even though he kept telling me I want nothing to do with you. Stop it. I don't care. I'm about to be like, well, love you, Dad. You know, like I would still do that.
Yeah.
You know, I would still, you know, I would let out all my problems. I would tell him what was going on with my transition. I would let him know how I was feeling, anything with you or with him.
And that was during the time you dropped out of the academy.
Yeah.
You dropped out because all your situation is transgender, and then you don't want school. You weren't feeling it anymore at that moment.
I didn't want to do acting anymore.
Your relationship with your dad was all like
it was fucked.
Beyond.
It was bad.
Toxic.
It was bad.
It was just so bad that you took it out at school. Like when it was time for you to go to school, you were slacking off. You weren't doing the work.
I was burned out. I couldn't. I one semester I tried to push through. I had 5 classes at that time, and I couldn't do it. I was just like, man, I just don't have the energy. I'm too stressed. I wasn't feeling it. So I dropped out like week 8. Maybe week 7 or 8,
and then luckily the guy told you, the counselor told you, well, you know, even if you're gonna drop out, you know, you have enough credits for an associate's. Do you want that? And
I got it.
But I was mad.
Yeah.
I was. Then now that's when I was mad, because that's when I realized that what happened, the relationship that you have with your dad and the situation that you were going through now got in the way of your bachelor's, and that's when I was like, okay, not only am I losing my kid, but now, you know, his bachelor's. Since ever since you were in Logan, you were always talking about wanting the bachelor's from the academy.
You want to do acting.
Going acting, and now all of this was interfering with too much of what you wanted originally. And that's when I started getting mad. I was like, okay, this is way too much. Yeah. But then luckily Jeff, his therapist, he did whatever they talked about worked. His dad supposedly.
If I may, I want to talk about that real quickly. This is something that I really wanted to always talk about. I've had people before tell me, well, even if you're Korra, why not just continue doing acting? Like it's possible, and it's true. There are transgender actors out there that are doing pretty well. The problem with me is that, like, I wouldn't have dropped out if I was trying to be a doctor or a lawyer or something, because even though I may change, my knowledge is still there. Yeah. So I could have still pursued whatever if it was something different. Yeah. The problem with this is that this is gonna work. This is performing. This isn't the same as writing a paper or you talking to like a judge, or you being a doctor of some sort, or talking to a patient or someone, right? Like, I have to perform. I have to be as convincing as possible. And I couldn't be convincing when I was still trying to figure myself out. How can I play another character when I don't even know who the fuck I was?
I think you got burned out because you were adding too much personalities in your persona. Because I've heard people that when they're actors, they'll say, the best thing about being an actor is I get to become all these characters in my lifetime. Mm-hmm. You know, which most of the time we have one persona, like I'm just me, and I have to be the realest me I can be, right? But as an actor, you get to be in a lifetime. If you play 20,000 movies, you get to be 20 different types of characters, good, bad, superheroes, whatever. You could be the villain, you could be the hero. There's all these personalities you get to become in one point of your life. But as in your situation, here you are in school trying to do a script that they gave you, right? And you're trying to be transgender.
I was trying to be...
You're trying to be a girl.
A woman.
And then you're trying to be the character.
While trying to be whoever when it wasn't really there yet.
Yeah, so it's like, instead of most people, like, I get a script and I'm just supposed to play that person, you're trying to play the transgender person plus the script person. Yeah. I think that's what gave you too much pressure and burned you out eventually. It did.
It really did. And then it got to the point where I was like, I'm going to try to figure something else, because acting was Angel, and I guess that's going to go too. And I'm not going to lie, I actually got mad too. Yeah. Even though I said that, secretly I was pissed off, because I would watch movies and shit, and there was characters that I saw, I was like, oh, that was fucking awesome, especially Westerns. And whenever I saw a Western, I would see this manly dude be like, you know, hey lady, you know, coming over here. And I'll be like, oh, that was so fucking tight. But then I was like...
That's why I kept trying to stop you from, whenever you kept trying to talk about, you know, my surgery or this, because I knew that what you had was psychological. It wasn't that you were like that, because everything that you liked was guy related. You
like sea shanties. Yeah. Remember I told you I was into doing like those Viking stuff.
You like the Viking, and then you like hardcore manly thing. You get like Western, Viking. You like, you know, when you get mad, you act just like your dad.
Yeah.
You get all
I did.
And you know, you're too manly in person, and then when you would get behind that camera, you know, you shine, you know. So when you said you were gonna stop doing acting, I was like, Angel, that's gonna kill you, because you be long in front of that camera. Everything things that you are passionate about, they're guy things, and you know.
Yeah, I got
so that. I was just like, I can't let this happen. You know, we're gonna have to figure this out. luckily at the end, your dad and you know, were able to squash it. You had that talk. You guys had those deep talks up in the yard, and you guys were able to, like, your dad and you, whatever you guys had to squash, you squashed, and that helped a lot.
He didn't. No, it is just he didn't apologize, but you know, I wasn't asking for one.
No, but he did come out and
you know, I just told him. You know, like, just like how I told you what I needed to say, I know you have some things to say yourself, so by all means, you have the right to do that. Mm-hmm. So go ahead, and he did.
Yeah.
You know, he was very honest about it. He was very fair about it. You know, he talked to me as a dad, and I wanted that, and I appreciated that. You know, and he had every right to say whatever it is that he needed to say when we had our conversation, mm-hmm. because what he said was true, you know, right. On a lot of things, and I get it, you know.
Right.
And he said a lot of what you were saying. You know, he's telling me, son, you're my son. So, I don't want nobody but my son.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know that. And then
when you dropped out and you got that associates, I was so angry because that wasn't the deal.
I know.
I remember when we went to your orientation and the tour and everything, and right before we were going to sign those papers, I remember telling you, Angel, are you sure this is what you want to do? Because it's going to cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
This isn't a regular, like, community college. This isn't a state university. This is a university. So you're going to go in there. It's going to be in the city. You know, it's like the most expensive city in the Bay Area. I was like, it's going to not be cheap. I was like, I don't mind, because you're my son, and I'll do for you and my daughter whatever it takes, because I got it like that. I go, but I said, you're going to do this. I said, make sure you know what you're doing. And you were like, yeah, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. And when you dropped out and with an associate,
it was like, what happened?
I was so angry because I was in the deal. And I was so, like, disappointed, not in you, but because I was like, I can't believe this dysphoria.
So was that consuming?
It's just basically destroying everything that you are and you built. I'm
going to be real. And I'm talking from my experience. That was all I could think about. That's all I wanted. I wanted nothing but clothes. I wanted nothing but to be as feminine as possible. I wanted to be represented as a woman all the time, 24 hours. My pronouns were she and her. Yeah. You know, that's all I cared about. I was obsessed with that. And now it's not like that anymore for me. Mm-hmm. Just because I just kind of, the way how I took care of it was that I slowly had my thoughts about it, where I was like, okay, you really need to consider what's been going on. What are you going to do after you transition? I told myself, be real about your situation. Don't bullshit. What are you going to do? Mm-hmm. You had a dream and you practically stabbed it. What's your backup plan? I had no backup plan.
And I think that's what also depressed you a lot at that time. Because you were giving up acting.
Yeah, and I wanted to do that since I was 8.
And you've always wanted to do acting, and the fact that you were giving it up, I saw that it was also causing you a lot of depression.
It killed me, yeah.
And I was like, mm-mm. So when I was glad that the therapy sessions were working out with Jeff, and then your dad, I don't know what happened on his end. I think he says that he was also, people were talking to him on his end, and he reached out to you, and then when you guys squashed it through your end, and you had that relationship with him, because you guys stopped talking for 3 years, right? Almost 4 years.
3 or 4 years.
No, it was going on 4 years that you guys hadn't talked at all, because he literally, like, banished you.
And the only time I saw him, was one time during the party.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I had no idea he was going to be there.
Yeah.
Until I found out, like, an hour prior, and I was like, do I hide or do I... No, I gotta go. Yeah. And then I saw him finally, but as Angel during my cousin's quinceañera, and then I got drunk. And then I don't remember as much, but I got frustrated when I saw him, because then he was showing me care and compassion. And I was like, where the fuck was that when I was Korra, huh? I was like, where the fuck was that? You know, I got hella drunk, and when that happened, because really, I didn't like the way how I was like, you act like that now, but where was that before?
No, yeah, I mean it took a lot, Angel, because when you dropped out of the academy, though, that whole year and a half that you were not in the academy, that you had dropped out and you just got your associates, even though a lot of people would have been happy with one, you know, I was grateful. I mean, I'm not trying to be like, I was grateful and everything, but I hated it. I'm going to tell you right now, I hated the fact that you got an associates. That day that you came out with that gown as Korra.
The white gown.
I'm not going to lie, Joe. I know you got mad because I didn't give you a reaction. You wanted me to be all like, but that wasn't my kid.
I know.
And I was like, okay, well, you got what you got, but I wasn't happy with it. But when everything happened and everything got fixed, you know, I was just happy because, I mean, let me go back. When you dropped out, you were out for like almost 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Those 2 years, that's what I think I would always, that's one part of my life that I will never want to go back to, because that was like the dark ages for us as a family.
It was an argument all the time.
It was, you got so
mad.
I think that was when you were at your angriest, during that time that you dropped out of the academy. That your dad wasn't talking to you. He didn't want nothing to do with you. He acted like you didn't exist.
I gave up on everything.
The things went back in my relationship too. I broke it off. It caused a lot of strain and everything. But the point was that you were really depressed, like really, really depressed. And I remember that there was times that you were, like you would do a lot of exercise in the room because you needed to. I remember that one time you said something that scared me, because you said that you were exhausted of yourself. You said, man, I wish I could step out of my head for a minute just so I could take a break.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh man, like, okay. And then that's when I remember that I started going online and I started studying everything I could about psychology and, gender dysphoria. And even though like your dad, I didn't want to know nothing about it. But I knew it's just like anything. If you want to defeat your enemy, you got to learn as much about them as you can. So I started going online and I started researching everything I could about gender dysphoria, even though it would gross me out because there's stuff I didn't want to know. But I would research everything. I started researching not people that were transition, but people that were detransition. And I started seeing things and just stories about them and their journeys and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. So then that's why when there were times that you were in the room and you were going through it really bad. Remember, there was a lot of times that you would come out and you were like going through it, and we would sit here and we would be till like 3 o'clock in the morning having these deep conversations because you were just like talking to me.
I was exhausted.
And you were exhausted. But that's one of the things that I learned, that when people are like suicidal or depressed or anything like that, the best medicine to help them is to get them to talk. Yeah. Because that's the only way they could get whatever's in their head out. It's like good medicine. So when I found out one of those techniques, that's when you would come out, I was thinking, okay, well, when you talk to Jeff, that's a good thing. But when you're not talking to Jeff in those 2 weeks, so you would talk to him every 2 weeks, I was like, how can I help? So I would wait for you to have like a moment. And then when you would come and say like, Mom, like, can we talk? And I'd be like, yeah, sure. And I would sit on the sofa and we would talk. And I noticed that the more we started talking, the more you started, it was like Angel was back here and he would come all the way up here, because it was like, if I felt like there was a little thread and I was holding it like this. I was pulling you out like that every time we were talking. I was going like this.
I felt that too. And honestly, a part of the reason why I didn't want to come back was because I actually got very comfortable.
I know.
I got very used to the lifestyle. I don't want to transition anymore. I actually got that out of my head. Mm-hmm. I don't feel the need for it anymore. And no hard feelings to anybody that does or whatever. That's you, do you. For me, I don't feel like that anymore. Mm-hmm. But I'm not gonna lie, I still am gender fluid, just because I still do love clothes and the style of it. Mm-hmm. Not all the time anymore. I've been Asian for like a whole month.
I know. Before you, it would be the other way around.
I just stopped. I just stopped. I just went, no. I was like, I'm gonna cut my hair, and I did, even though it was hard because I had my hair finally the way I wanted it to. I liked it.
But that was before. I mean, that was during you were going through that deep stage. That's when you were at your worst. Yeah. I mean, it got to a point that I was like, why are you not talking to your dad? I wanted to kick you out over there because it would get really bad, remember? But luckily, like anything, life goes up and down, So once you and your dad, I think that's what kind of started changing everything. When you and your dad finally were able to talk again.
It helped. It really helped.
Your dad was actually
really helped.
And your dad was actually real. And he was talking from his heart to you about a lot of things. I think that's what started healing you also. Because that's when I started seeing like, a
lot of change. I was more calmer.
You were calmer, you were more relaxed and everything. And then it went through the conversations that you were going with Jeff, everything started like clicking all of a sudden. And then the next thing you know, you were happy again. And then one day you just come and say, Mom, I've been thinking about it and I want to finish.
Yeah.
I want to finish the academy. I want to go and that day it was...
And I could tell I told other people too, and they didn't take me seriously.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, like I remember I heard some people like, he ain't gonna finish, he ain't gonna do acting or whatever the fuck. And I was like, now what?
No, yeah?
Yeah, I was like, yeah, that's okay. I finally did it. I even told you that I was willing to cut my hair before the ceremony because I wanted to do it as Angel. I did my associates as Korra. I'm doing this as Angel. Mm-hmm. I'm going to do it, and I fucking did it.
Yep.
And I'm very happy about that. And I'm gonna tell you, part of the reason why I got my ceremony was for you, Mom. Mm-hmm. I told you that before. Yeah. I made it more than clear. I said, Mom, one of the biggest guilt trips I ever had was that I wasn't able to give you the ceremony for high school. I'm going to make it up to you for college. I saw you crying when I walked in.
Yeah.
And that shit really made my day. Because I saw you and I was like, yes.
But I think I was happy because I could see your happiness. I could see you like you were full. And that made me happy. Because when I saw you walking in and the whole family there and everybody there and you just enjoying your moment, that's what I knew that your heart needed and your mind needed. You had to redo, which you did, because not only, you might not have been the first, you were last in getting your high school diploma from your friends and everybody, but you were the first one to get your bachelor's. At least on our side of the family, you're the first one to get the bachelor's. On our side of the family. It goes to show, just because you're behind doesn't mean that you're gonna be last all the time.
I don't give a fuck about. I hate this so much where people make it into like a competition, and I'm just like, I'm not really about that. I'm worried about myself. I'm doing my own shit.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So I'm just here just doing what I can because it's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I told myself too. In a way. I really did wanted to do what I was doing when I was transitioning, but I told myself that if I give it up, and it was one of the most hardest things I ever had to do, by the way. I don't mean to say that so lightly. It was really one of the hardest things I ever had to do. It took a lot of time. It took years. But I told myself, if I give up being Korra, someone that I really wanted to be, and even now I still do here and there because it's dysphoria, I'm going to make it worth it and do a lot of work in return to say, I didn't get to do this, but I'm going to make up for it by doing this. At least I can say it was for something.
Yeah.
So far, so good. I'm keeping my promise on that. And I still do be Korra here and there because I can't help it. It is dysphoria. But it's not like how it was before.
Right.
And then you finally gave me my degree. I mean, my diploma. And, finally now I'm willing to keep it.
I don't care.
I'm willing to keep it now. I was about to burn this paper, but then I put it back. It's all wrinkled.
I don't care about that one.
Oh man, I really wanted to burn it, but then again, I'm like, it is my only one. But then again, I was like, it's okay. It got the treatment I wanted to give it. I'm happy with it.
Oh yeah.
Pretty soon, I'm gonna be on my own, doing my own shit, and I'm looking forward to that. I really am. You know what I mean? And I'm sorry for if I put you through so much BS.
That's what moms do. I just felt bad for those kids out there that go through this, and both families turn their backs on them. Yeah. Those kids, I kind of feel like, my heart goes out to them, because it's just because there's a situation doesn't mean it's not reversible or can't be fixed. I mean, if you just want to throw in the towel for the jump and just accept it, that's fine. But if you want to, fight for your kids, and there's always a solution to anything.
There are some people that transitioning is just going to be something for them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If that's what they want to do, that's fine. But when you do it with no family, they just shut you down. That's terrible. It's just terrible.
Yeah, you should never do that. I understand the situation is hard. We're speaking from experience. I understand that the situation is absolutely hard to deal with. I get it. But you just shutting people out like that, or your own kid especially, right? I don't think that was going to do anything. I think that when families do that, and I say it from experience because I was there, and I know that it's easy when a family member, when a kid comes out, whether it's a daughter or son, and they come out in this type of situation and the parents bail, it's because they're more worried about their reputation than their kid. Sometimes, yeah. And no, that's what it is. Like if I would have shut you out, if I would have said, okay, Angel, you gotta get the hell out of my house and don't come in here, it's because I'm more worried about my reputation and what people are going to say about me. So I'd rather be part of the crowd and be like, oh no, that's why I kicked them out, because, I don't. But no, that's why your dad did what he did, because he was more focused. I knew about that too. Your dad knows a lot of people. Yeah. He's out there, and I think he was just thinking, well, what are people going to say about me? Chewy even told me about that. Okay, there you go. Even Chewy, I remember we had a conversation one time. If you do that, okay, but you got to consider some things too. And then, when it comes to your dad, even Chewy looked at me, he was like, how your dad is. So I'm just saying, you got to think about the people he's around and, his reputation and shit. Because, your dad does have a lot of people. A certain reputation to do, especially because he's a boss. So, you got to understand what you're going to be doing. And I was like, damn, he's right. No, yeah, of course. I was like, but see, if you don't, as a parents, if we don't defend our kids, then who's going to defend them? If you kick your kid while you're down, then everybody else is going to do it because they know even the parents are doing it.
if you stand up for your, see, that's the thing. On your dad's side of the family, I don't know how I don't think they were messed up with you like that.
No.
But if they wanted to be, there was nothing your dad could do about it because he was the first one that did it.
Yeah.
So, like, let's assume your dad's over here talking this crap, and then somebody over there in that family also wants to be like, well, yeah, you know, your kid want to be a little this, or your son's being that. Your dad he can't say nothing. Because he's the first one that started it. But see, on my side of the family, when I went to the whole family and said, this is going on with my son, and I'm letting you guys know because if you start seeing these pictures come out, I want you guys thinking it's a joke. This is actually happening. This is our reality. This is my reality right now. And the family was supportive, but I told them I was trying to, you know, I wanted more time to fix this, but I ran out of time because I made a deal with my kid that this year he expressed himself. I said, but trust when I say I'm going to fix this. I'm just going to need more time. Thank God was on my side and he let me witness that day. But again, I made it known to my family. The only thing I ask is I can't stop you guys commenting behind my back on him when you guys see pictures. Just don't let me hear it, because if I hear it, you guys are going to regret that I heard it.
And then they did it in front of us.
I go, no.
At one point, at
the church, yeah.
That happened.
But then look at what happened when we confronted them. So that's what I'm saying. You know, it's just, as parents, you have to be there for your kids. It doesn't matter what they go through. It could be a pregnancy. It could be gender dysphoria. It could be whatever they're at. You have to defend your kids from jump. Otherwise, I think as parents, y'all suck. You can't be a parent when it's good and then run when it's bad. Mm-hmm. You know, you can't be that way. And there's a lot of parents that are like that.
Yeah, I know.
That they favor one kid over the other, you know, or they favor, you know, they could be like, I have 2 kids right now, you and Janie. Yeah. I could be like, I'm going to favor her because she's the baby and you're not you because you're grown. Or there's people that they favor just one side of the family kid over the other side of the family. To me, that's a punk move because they're all your kids. Yeah. You know, it doesn't matter if they're guy or girl or grown or young. They're all your kids, and you should not separate your kids like that. You shouldn't separate that. You know, if you do it, that you got the issue. My heart goes out to them.
I have a lot of trans friends, you know, too, clearly because of my situation. Because I told myself that if I want to be around a crowd, I should be around people who I can relate with. Mm-hmm. And you know, I heard their stories all the time. And some I definitely related to, and some that made me go, damn, I'm lucky, even though my dad left me at the time, I still had you. Because, you know, I have friends that don't even have their parents at all. Damn, you know, I felt really bad about that. Mm-hmm. So, like, as a friend myself, I even tell them all the time, hey, you know, like, if you want to talk by any chance, just let me know. You know, and I can help you however I can, you know, because I feel you. I get what you're going through, clearly. Not entirely, but I haven't, to an extent, I understand what you're going through. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this. What's the worst thing, and I'm going to answer this too, what's the worst thing that you went through during the whole 6 years of my transition?
It was people asking me if I was embarrassed.
Were you?
Yeah. And you know, and people would get like shocked. They would crack up to go, and I'd be like, what do you want me to lie? Like, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I've never been like that. No, people that know me I'm very real. Yeah. I'm as real as it gets. And so I was like, you know, people have a tendency that once a kid comes out like that, I'm supposed to fake it and tell people, oh no, you know, I'm proud. We're proud. This is a proud moment for us. You know, yes, I've always wanted my kid to be like this and have gender dysphoria. No, nobody that has a daughter wants to lose her to a son, like and no, yeah, I don't want my daughter to be a dude, and I don't want my son to be a girl. Unless you experience it, you don't know what it feels. People think it's very simple. Yeah. And it's something that you should be proud of. Like, that's his truth, and
it's easier said than done.
Yeah, but then I've had people now that their kids have come out, both girl and guy, and when I tell them, they're like, girl, now they're coming to me, well, how did you fix it? I thought that was a proud moment. And now they say, oh, I know, and now they apologize because they say, man, this is horrible, it's like you're losing your kid. I go, welcome to my world. And I tell them, you're going to have to just be there, try to find out what happened, give them the help that they need, but find out what happened, because something happened where they took another path because they're running away from something. Try to get them back to that path. Right. You know? But people would always ask me, like, so now that you kid like that, are you embarrassed? I'm like, yeah. And they were like, really? And I'm like, but that's your kid. I'm like, so? Because he's my kid, that's why I'm embarrassed, because he's my son. Yeah. You think I like seeing him all the way he is? No, that hurts me. Yeah. Because people are laughing at that. You think I don't think you don't?
I got that too.
Yeah. I tell people all the time. You think I don't know that? Like the people that said that they're supportive, they're the ones making fun of them. You think I don't know that? Like, I'm not dumb. Like, I know how we're all human, you know. And I tell people all the time, you know, yeah, it's embarrassing, you know, because my son's grown. It's not like he's a little kid where you could, when you see little kids, you could kind of be like, oh, well, they're little kids. They probably got influenced by somebody. You're trying to find somewhere to point the finger. You're a full-grown kid, so to be at your age like that, the people that are most supportive are the ones that are actually making fun of you, and that would piss me off. And you know, that was my realest real.
Again, it happened in front of my face.
And it happened in front of my face. Yeah,
I saw it.
But people would always ask me that every time we would talk about this. When I would talk about this with anybody, coworkers or family, it was always that one question. Well, are you embarrassed? Yeah. Remember what your dad told you one time when you first came out with this? Your dad said, you know, be careful what you're gonna do because the moment those pictures go out.
He did.
He said, remember what he said? He goes, not only are you gonna, you know, embarrass yourself, but you're gonna embarrass your mom and me. You're gonna drag us down with you. And but in that time, you were like, I know that, but this is who I am and whatever. And we were like, all right. And when those pictures come out, there was nothing both your dad and I could do. I mean, I felt the pressure just because I was thinking, my gosh, like I could just imagine what people are saying. But it wasn't because of my reputation. It was because I didn't want people thinking that you were off. Like, because when people go through depression or anxieties or gender dysphoria or something, people think that they're off. You know, I have friends who have anxieties and they have to take medication, and I've heard people say, oh, there's something wrong with their person because they can't control themselves because they're having anxieties. Like, it's a emotional disorder. But there's nothing wrong with them. It's just a disorder. You have to just correct the disorder. That's what's called disorder. Yeah. It's like when you're too big or you're too thin because you got a disorder, you could correct it if you get the proper treatments and help and everything. Any disorder could be treated, but people don't understand that. They just judge right away.
Damn, huh? Yeah. Woo, she went in.
I know my stuff, trust me. You know, that's why. But you know, it's part of anything. You know, you just got to develop this skin. You had to develop this skin.
I did.
I had to develop this skin. Your dad obviously never developed this skin. That's why he ran. Oh, but no, I'm not trying to. I have no problem with your dad. You know, I understand how he is. I've always known how he is. That's why when he ran, I told you from Rewind It, I was not surprised. I knew that was going to happen.
No, me too.
He cussed me out, and he ran out.
Just to clarify, you know, me and my dad are good now. Mm-hmm. You know, we obviously, like I said, we talked. Yeah. I don't want to be trying to pull a safe card here, but I don't want to seem like it's still like that, right?
No,
like
it's not.
It's been good for quite some time.
I'm glad that you guys are good and everything, and I'm grateful for that. But I just wish he would have been there, because I think that if he would have thought about you instead of himself, I think that this whole Angel would have came back years ago.
I think I'm gonna just say this, and I think I told him this. I just think he didn't know how to handle it.
But him running wasn't
I know
an excuse.
I'm not making excuses. I'm just
saying that if he wouldn't have been there like day one, the way I was there, I know he didn't like it. I know I didn't like it. I know he had the pressure. I felt the pressure. He has his own job, and he's a boss. I've been in my job for 21 years, so I know a lot of people. So the pressure was on full effect for both of us. But for him to just cuss me out, and run at that time, man, I wanted to. But I was like, okay, it happened. But at the end, I think that if he would have stopped, if he would just man up at that moment and said, okay, how do we fix this? Whatever it takes, we got to fix this. I think you would have came back years ago, and it would have taken all this almost 10 years later for you to come back. I think we could have had Squat and brought you back years ago if he would, because it took him to bring you back. Mm-hmm. So that's the only thing that I kind of have this thing against your dad on, that he dragged him more than it had been dragged. But
it's not all on him.
But it's not all on him, and I'm glad that he did. And now that you guys are good, now I'm glad that better late than never. So I'll give him credit for that he did it. But I just wish that he would stop running when things get hard, like this with you.
Hey, Mom.
No, I mean, I for real.
Hey, I told you to be honest, and that's fair. I gotta be real. I said some things too, and it's true. It wasn't. We're talking about an experience that has happened, and
that affected me a lot. It affected me in my relationship. I gained a lot of weight because I went through just the way you were depressed. I was depressed, I didn't know how to handle it because I didn't know my dad was gone. Yeah, couldn't bother my mom. Because of her age, she's elderly. She's the family didn't know. Yeah. Nobody knew. So now I'm working on him. But other than that, it affects people in different ways, though. But I'm just glad that it's over and done with. I'm glad that that high school experience.
It's over.
It's over.
It's finally over. I got my degree.
You redeemed yourself.
It made up for this. Yeah.
And that you and your dad are tight like that again. I'm grateful to God that you and your dad your dad's back in your life, and you're back as Angel, and you got that bachelor's degree.
Amen.
And now you got to go out there and make it happen.
Yeah.
But just know, Angel, that let me tell you right now here that's something I never got to tell you in your graduation, but it doesn't matter how bad things get for you, honey. Just know that, I'm always going to be here. Okay? It doesn't matter how bad things get in life for you. That's just life.
Yeah.
You're going to have your ups and you're going to have your downs, and there's nothing you can do about it. You just get up and then keep on going. Don't stay down, okay?
Yeah.
And, because you want to be an actor, I know you're going to be out there in the world, and I hope to God that you get to really live your life and go out there. Just know that no matter how far you go out in the world, just never forget your way back home.
Yeah, Mom.
I am proud of you, honey. I'm really proud.
Thank you, Mom. I appreciate that. Thank you. Come here. I love you, Mom.
Love you, Papa.
Well, that happened. Thank you, Mom. Oh, God, I love you. You're an awesome mom, Mom. Thank you so much.
I just wish all these kids out there that were lost were just as lucky. Because I think there's so many kids out there that are so lost, and there's nobody, they don't have no family to go to. They don't have no support, and they're out there lost because they don't understand, The worst thing that could happen to any kid is for them to have a disorder and their family just...
Of any sort, by the way.
Of any type of disorder.
Anything, not just gender.
It could any kind of disorder, whether it's depression, anxiety, eating disorder, or gender disorder, any kind of disorder, and family just walk out on them when it's hell. It's hell for them that are going through it, and for a parent that's watching them through it. For those parents that walk out on their kids, I just say, God have mercy on your souls, because that is the worst thing that you can do to your child.
Yeah. Whew, damn. Hey, this is one of the first times that I don't talk that much on. You got me. But I just want you to know that I really appreciate you, and I really thank you for all that you've done, because I know you went through a lot. And same thing to my dad. He did. Yeah. That's my dad. You know what I mean? But I just, like you said, I do wish maybe he could have helped out more. But I understand that he was also going through it too. Not in the way I would agree with. Right. Right. But, it's what it is. But the point is, I'm making progress now. The point is that the Angel Man is back. And, I'm just trying to get things started. I'm trying to get things ready. This is a conversation I wanted to do since finishing college. I told myself, I said, I want to have a conversation talking about the bullshit we went through leading up to, all the way up to finally getting that ceremony. Because it was a lot. Yeah. Temper. Yeah, I got my... It was so sensitive. It's true. Like, when you're in the situation, you can't help but to get mad. Because, people are staring at you. People are talking about you. Some people, in a way, are happy. In a way. That you're like that, yeah. And it's like, why are you happy? This ain't an easy situation for me to deal with. Like, you try going through this. I bet you're gonna have a hard time. It's kind of weird, though, now that you're saying it. Because when before you transitioned the first time... people kind of didn't take you seriously for some reason or something like that, somehow it seemed. And then when you came out as transgender, then you had love coming from all four sides of the globe. Oh, you're my best this and best that and this and all. Everybody's coming so much support, which is a good thing, but it seemed kind of fake, and it seemed like almost that they were happy that you were transgender. That's what I kind of caught. That was the vibe that where was all this love prior when you were Angel, and then when you came the transition and now you're Angel again, now it's crickets again. It's like, where's everybody at? I kind of got that a little bit on my for my graduation. Exactly. I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna share this before I end the podcast, and thank you all so much for watching, by the way. I just want to say, at my graduation, I was a little hurt because I did want some people to attend. And I understand that it was tricky because, unfortunately, we had a limit of tickets. Yeah. 10 people. And then came to find out in the very end that no tickets required. They told us at the very last fucking minute, as soon as we got there to the event, oh, you don't need tickets. Just come. Make your phone calls and come. And I was like, you tell me that fucking now? I was like, right now? Are you serious? I was like, oh my God. I was like, oh, because I couldn't invite my cousin Josie because I didn't have enough tickets for her, and I thought she would want to bring her boyfriend. I would have been fine with that. I wanted to bring my cousin Tony, but I know he wants to bring. I know he would love to bring his girlfriend Diana, and I didn't have any tickets for them. You know, I invited Chewy. I talked to his ass.
These are all cousins.
And then, my cousins. And then I know I told him when I saw him last time, and he's telling me I never told him. And I was like, I told you what day, and I told you. I even told him to talk to my dad. The information's on the tickets.
Just for the record, everybody on my side of the family came.
Yeah, that's true.
Like always, we've been there since day one.
Okay, Mom. Okay, well, again, no. I mean, I am like frustrated or holding a grudge or nothing like that. I'm just saying I did catch that. You know, that on my ceremony, I didn't get a lot more people on my dad's side to come.
I just think it's weird because when you were dropping out, a lot of people were upset on your side of the family that you were going to drop out. When you dropped out the first time when you got your associates, a lot of people were like, oh, so you're not going to finish? Or you're not going to do this? Like, some people were... So now when here you are in your graduation for your bachelor's, I'm thinking...
Got some controversy going on.
But again, that's whatever reasons they had not to come, you know. No, it gets complicated.
No, I felt the vibe. But that's why I created my story. You know, where I was like, that's a you problem because, like, I worked for my motherfucking degree. You know, like, I put 6 years into this shit. I left, dealt with some bullshit, came back, dealt with some more bullshit, and I finished. I worked for it, you know? I don't have no hookup or nothing. I worked for it. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we went through a lot to get to where we were at. Well,
I mean, it's your accomplishment, and those that wanted to be there were there, and those that couldn't handle your happiness for whatever reason, if it wasn't that, they weren't there.
I hope it's not true.
But just know that this is just the beginning of more accomplishments. So instead of being disappointed when they're not around, get used to it. Mm. But I want that first red carpet.
Hey, Mom. Thank you, Mom. I mean, I got it at the ceremony. I wasn't expecting a red carpet there, by the way. Yeah. I was like, oh shit! I was hella looking around.
The academy they do nice graduations because it's in the city.
Long,
you know.
But
the auditorium was huge. You know, they had the lights, it
was way bigger than
LED
I thought.
Lights and the red carpet and nice seating and it was
fancy. Went all out. I wasn't expecting that, but it was fancy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And to end this podcast, finally, I just wanted to say thank you so much first for watching my video. Mom, thank you so much for being on here. I know it was a little hard to convince you to come on camera, but I was like, Mom, you're the only one I can have the conversation with because you were here, like, everything we talked about, you were here through all of it. Yeah. You know? So I just wanted to say, Mom, I love you. I thank you. And I know I can always come to you if I need something. Mm-hmm. I know that. And my dad, I can too for certain things, but I know to you were always there. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Verse, I appreciate you for watching. I know this was like somewhat of a personal video, but I felt like a podcast was the best way to do this. Instead of me talking for like, let's say an hour at a camera alone, this is much better. Yeah. Verse, with that said, thank you so much for watching. If you guys like what you saw, do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification for more content as always. Look forward to the next video, Verse. Like I said, I'm trying to do more podcasts for you, so I hope you're enjoying them. I got more people to come, different topics to discuss and stuff like that. And yeah, Verse, I'm just looking forward to that. So with that said, look forward to the next podcast. And with that said, have an awesome day. Later, Verse.